or you're teaching online, letter sounds is your next topic. But how do you teach letter sounds? Now, I have noticed some loopholes, some mistakes teachers make when they teach letter sounds. Remember, when you're teaching letter sounds, your students, the pupils you're teaching, some might be toddlers, 2 years old, 3, 4, and as their ages go up. But there's a possibility of you starting with kids like 2, 3. Now, the way you would teach the lesson to that level, different from the way you would teach it to kids in the upper level. But in general, there are some mistakes we make when we're teaching letter sounds. Now, remember, when you're teaching letter sounds, the first thing I have here is, this is the picture of letter sounds. If you notice, the letters are in the lowercase. That is 1, 2. Can you see these pictures? This is a bit blurry, but this is clearer. I see big words. Your toddler is just beginning to talk. Hasn't even started talking. I have a toddler. She has not started talking, but she watches phonics songs. So by default, she just says, apple. She hasn't started to talk. She's almost 2. I don't know how I would teach elephant. It's so big. Or helicopter. It's big. So some of these things I've noticed are what we're going to discuss today. Number 1, when you're teaching letter sounds, please teach from known to unknown. Choose simple pictures. Now, when we're teaching letter sounds, you start with letter sounds with pictures before letter sounds without pictures, depending on your age and level. Yes. For example, 8 years old, 10, okay, letter sounds without pictures. You just introduce the sounds of the letters straight up. For toddlers, for younger kids, you move with pictures first, without pictures. Now, when you're teaching with pictures, choose simple pictures. Don't worry, as they move on, they'll get familiar with the other pictures. But start with simple pictures. Why would you teach a toddler? You're teaching the sound of letter H. 1 second, let me annotate. You're teaching the sound of letter H, and here I have helicopter. How many syllables does helicopter have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 syllables. There is hat. There is horse. There are other simple short words. So choose simple picture. Before you get to helicopter, you would have passed hat. You would have passed simple words like horse, hat, gorilla. Ooh, okay, maybe because it's an animal. But before you get to gorilla, you would have gotten to goat. So why not choose goat? Why not pick goat? So I would say it makes it easier for them to assimilate. It makes it easier for them to remember. Do you understand? So choose simple pictures. Rule number 1, choose simple pictures. Teach them from what they know, what they can relate to easily. Then what might be, it might be too far, too far. Instead of giving here ink pot, why not just say a ink? Here, a ink. Why ostrich? Why not orange? I'm just saying, this is my opinion. This is just for me. For others, you might have everyone is entitled to their opinion, but from my experience, what really helps are simple pictures. These would work for kids in the upper level. This isn't bad for kids in the upper level, but you're starting, for example, with a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, because yes, toddlers can read. They can read. So depending on your student, start with simpler pictures. That is number 1, simpler pictures. Now, the next thing I have here, use lowercase, that is small letters. When we teach letter sounds, we use lowercase because when you're going to teach letter names and their symbols, then you use the uppercase, then you use capital letters. But when you're teaching letter sounds, use the lowercase, small letters, small letters. In fact, I think it's easier for them to scribble this. When they're starting to write, you notice it starts with small letters. So when you're teaching as well, please teach the lowercase. Introduce the lowercase to them first. In general, in fact, whether it's the upper level or the lower level, middle level, letter sounds with or without pictures is stored with the small letters, the letters in the lowercase. But when you're teaching letter names and their symbols, then you teach with capital letters. You teach letter names and their symbols, you teach something like this. 1 second, let me make this bigger. So you teach like this. The first letter is what? A. So you have capital A. Now, what's the symbol for A? Then you go like this. This is letter names and their symbols. This is still upfront. But now, letter sounds, lowercase. Okay. The next rule I have is, depending on their age, start with pictures before teaching without pictures. Yes. You're starting with a toddler, for example, or you're starting with someone, with kids that you're introducing English as a second language. It is not their first language. Okay, start with pictures. You teach letter sounds with pictures before you teach letter sounds without pictures. And then you ask them, why? It's easier for them to remember. It's easier. Letter A likes to eat what? Apple. How does letter A cry for her apple? She says, ah. When you say apple, what's the first sound that comes out of your mouth? Apple. Ah. What is this? I have one. It's not here, my flashcards. What is this? This is orange. Oh, who likes orange? I do. Okay. When you say orange, look, this is an orange. What's the first sound that comes out of your mouth? Oh, orange. You see, it's easier than to say a, b, d, eh. They get lost along the way. You understand? So teach first with pictures. When you start with pictures and you discover, oh, it's a walk in the park for them, oh, quickly, you can switch over to without pictures. But they're just starting. They're just starting. Teach with pictures. With pictures. When you want to introduce without pictures, it's easier. When you've taught cat, so you raise a cat, a picture of a cat, and you ask, what is this? This is cat. What letter says cat? We can tell you letter C or letter K, and then you differentiate. So number 3, depending on the age, start with pictures before teaching without pictures, because it is easier. And again, because kids, they learn faster with pictures. Why are they glued to the popular CoComelon song, the popular phonics songs? Because is it just the letters or the songs? They also see colorful pictures. So kids, they learn faster with pictures. It's easier for them to remember. It's easier for it to stick with them. It's easier for them to learn when it has pictures. Number 4, there are some confusing letters. To you, it may not be, but to them, letters that seem similar and letters that are confusing, that could be confusing for them. For example, look at this. I have some examples here. Letter C and letter S. The name of this letter is almost the sound of this letter. When you say C, that's almost the sound of letter S. Do you understand? So teach confusing letters, group the letters, letter C and letter S, so that when you're having dictation, when it's time to spell, remember when you're teaching, you must give dictation to be sure the kids, you're both on the same page. So number one, write for me. If you notice that child writing C, stay with that child. You need to go back. It means that child is confusing the letters. The letters are mixing up in the child's head. So you need to work on grouping letters that are similar and maybe confusing. Letter E and letter I. The sound of letter, the name of this letter is the sound of this letter. Somehow, not 100%, but yeah. When you say E, that's the name, the sound of this letter. So number two, write for me E, and a child writes letter E instead of letter I. Have work to do. When kids want to write B and D, some of them are always mixing them up. So you say B, but instead of the curve going forward, the curve goes backwards. You need to work on that as well. The sound, the letters I and Y. When you say write E, sometimes from experience, I have kids write letter I instead of letter Y. F and V. And V. You emphasize the fact that F and V are, the difference is V is voiced. Before you tell them it's voiced, because you know they have to be in the upper level before you can say, okay, this is voiced or voiceless. Now, before you can say that, just tell them the difference is when you're pronouncing this, you put in so much energy. That's the difference. One other, some other group of letters coming to mind is S and Z. A, B, C, D, E. How do you differentiate C and K? Usually we say C is the soft K and K is the hard K. So you ask me, how do I teach letter C and letter K? C is the soft K and K is the hard K. Okay, I'm thinking. M and N, no, depending on how you teach. No, I do nothing, but perhaps once you give dictation, that's it. And you notice that a kid is mixing up some letters, please teach again. Ensure complete comprehension before you move forward. Remember, every child is important. The weak, the strong, the not so weak, every child is important. Remember to also teach the vowels. Remember to teach the vowels separately. Now, in the next post, we'll probably talk about alphabet analysis. Alphabet analysis is where we give a breakdown of the 26 letters, the vowels, consonant, voice, voiceless, and the likes. But here, this is alphabet analysis. Before you get to alphabet analysis, teach the vowels. They are the noisy letters. They make so much noise. Who makes so much noise in the class? It's Alice. Oh, Alice is a vowel. So you teach the vowels and make sure they understand. Make sure they understand. Teach the vowels. Bring out 5 kids that are very active or very noisy, and the first one, that's a letter A. The first one is letter E. The second one, letter I, O, and U. Oh, under confusing letters, number 4, we have O and U. Depending on how you teach the pronunciation, some kids mix up the letter O and letter U. O is O, U is you already know as a teacher, but you know, it's new to them. So you have to go back and emphasize it again. So under vowels, you have another opportunity to emphasize the sounds of letter O and letter U and to differentiate it as well. And lastly, choose pictures that match the sounds of the letters. For example, G is for goat, not giraffe. The sound G, the sound G produces, goes with goat, gorilla. That's a big word, not giraffe, and many other one. Now here, stay with me here. I have here, this is and I see ice cream. No, that's not it. It's no, 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 no. This is what you're doing. That's what you're doing. The sound of letter I is I. It goes better with ink, not ice cream. The sound we have in ice cream is the name I, and that comes under magic E or the long I sound as you teach, as it's familiar, as you're familiar with it. So teach choose pictures that actually go with the sounds of the letters, not the name, with the sounds. I have issues with X. Now, permit me to dwell on this. I'll probably make another post on this, but X and xylophone, no, 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 no. X and xylophone, no, 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 no. I have another one here, X and X-ray. X-ray. I think I would prefer you teach, when you're teaching the sound of letter X, you choose pictures like box, fox. Now, because the sound of letter X is X. Now, when you choose X and you choose xylophone, the picture xylophone, and the letter sounds with pictures, and you're choosing xylophone. Now, hearing me say the word xylophone, the first sound is Z. Now, there's a rule for that. When X is followed by the semi-vowel Y or a vowel, X sound changes to Z sound. And that's why we have Xavier, we have Xerox, we have xylophone. But when you're teaching the sound of letter X, when you get to letter X, so you're coming from S, sun, sun, tap, umbrella, van, window, and you get to X. You say X as in box, X as in fox, X. That's the sound of letter X. Because when it's time to spell, phonics and spelling go hand in hand. Yes, because that's the best way to assimilate comprehension. It's the best way for you to know if what you're teaching, if you and the kids and your students are both on the same page. So spellings and phonics, they go hand in hand. So X as in box, X as in fox. Now, you may not get X sound at the beginning of a word. X-ray, maybe X-ray, but you know the sound is X. So I'm expecting to hear X-ray, but we don't say that. So instead, teach X as in box, X as in fox, X as in box, X as in fox, yam, zebra. I hope this is clear. So once again, we'll do a quick recap. Once again, quickly, the first rule, teach from known to unknown. Choose simple pictures. Choose simple pictures. Net. Or pictures that it's easy for them to say the words. Apple, ball. Before you go to beer, please pick ball. Before you go to crow, please pick cat. Okay, before you pick caterpillar, please, cat is simpler, cat is easier. Duck, dog. Egg, what happened to egg? Why elephant? Why not egg? Fox, fish. Hat, jug, kite. Oh, what is this? Lotus. I haven't seen her. You see, it's not familiar. So before choosing lotus, why not choose leg? Now, phonics, when you teach phonics, you teach letter sounds. It's an action lesson. Ah, apple. Yeah, there's so much gesticulation. So, leg. Can you show me your leg? Leg. Teach from known to unknown. Man. Who is a man? My dad is a man. My brother is my uncle. Yeah, mouse is cool. Have you seen a mouse before? Yes, we have it in my house. So the lesson must be lively. You can't teach letter sounds and you're all stern. No, the lesson must be lively. So teach something that they can easily relate to, something that is easy, super easy for them. The next one, lowercase, because it is letter sounds. So lowercase, depending on their age, start with pictures before teaching without pictures. So that when you're recapping, it's easier for them to, oh, what is this? Orange. What letter says orange? What letter likes orange? Letter O. Group letters that may be similar and confusing. By the time you start to spell, you discover that some letters are similar, some letters are confusing for the kids. Group those letters. Again, teach the vowels. The vowels are very important, especially when it comes to word building. The vowels are really important. The vowels, again, this cannot be overemphasized. The vowels are really important. So teach the vowels. In fact, we have a vowel song we usually sing. Letter A says A, E says E, and I says I, and O says O. And let you always says ah. That's how the vowels talk. So teach the vowels, try to make songs, choose pictures that match the sound of the letters. I hope this is clear. So these are my rules for letter sounds from my experience, and some mistakes I've noticed. I've had to come up with these rules. Please, if you have any other, please drop in the comments. I'm interested. I am so open to suggestions, opinions. I am so open. Until I come your way next time, have an amazing time. Goodbye.